What's up, everybody? It is Juan from the Refined Gent. So, in today's video, I'm going to talk to you about tattoo tips. Stay tuned. Now, there's a lot of controversy regarding tattoos. Some people say, well, true gentlemen don't have tattoos. I personally disagree, but let me give you a little brief history on tattoos. Now, tattoos have been around for pretty much as long as human beings have been around as well. It was rumored that when human beings discovered fire, around that same time is when they discovered tattoos. Now, tattoos evolve over time, but many tribes around the world had tattoos. They had rituals with tattoos. Tattoos had certain meanings. Tattoos represented a certain rank in a certain tribe or society. Historically, sailors also had tattoos, mostly around the turn of the century. Um, the yakuza, like different criminal groups, had tattoos for many years, and now it seems like it's a cultural explosion. You see a lot of people with tattoos. Most millennials, or about most millennials now, have tattoos, so it's really changed a lot over the years. Now, the attitude towards tattoos has changed a lot as well. When it was around the same time of Christianity, Christianity outlawed a lot of tattooing, even though some Christian societies, like the Coptic Christians in Egypt, had tattoos. It was usually a very small one. But tattoos, like the attitudes towards tattoos, have changed a lot over time. When it was around the late 1800s, when Japan opened up, and a lot of Westerners went to Japan, they collected a lot of souvenir tattoos. That was seen as a high class society thing. But eventually, it got seen as a very low class, like a working class kind of thing. You saw sailors get it, military guys get it. Also, a lot of criminal groups like the mob and things like that, they had them. And I remember actually growing up where my family's from in Colombia, tattoos were not seen as in a very good way. Tattoos were seen as a very trashy, indecent kind of thing. The last time I've been back, things have changed dramatically. As a matter of fact, even in some of the small towns, you see tattoo parlors everywhere. So really, the attitudes have changed over time, but still, in many parts of the world, like in the Middle East and in even parts of Asia, really tattoos are not looked at very well. Even though it's becoming a lot more common, still you can get looked at in a very bad light when you go to certain countries and you have tattoos showing. Now, there's also many historical figures that had tattoos. For example, Tsar Nicholas, the last Tsar of Russia, basically, he had a dragon on his forearm when he visited Japan in the early 1900s. FDR was actually rumored to have a tattoo. Churchill had a tattoo on his forearm. I think it was an anchor. King Frederick the Ninth, I think, of Denmark. I'm going to put up a picture of him. He actually had a lot of tattoos. He was a naval officer when he was in his younger years, and he collected a lot of different tattoos. And as a matter of fact, it looks pretty impressive. You wouldn't really think a king would do something like that. But yes, there's many historical figures, and there's many others. I think one of the American presidents, I forgot who it was. I think it was Andrew Jackson. He had a tomahawk on his thigh. So there's been many historical figures that have had tattoos over time. So this is nothing new. Now, when it comes to getting tattoos, guys, personally, I love tattoos. I think tattoos are an awesome form of self-expression, but the problem is I've seen a lot of guys with some horrible stuff. And I want you guys to think of tattoos like marriage, okay? I know it sounds a little weird, but hear me out. They're supposed to be forever. They're not necessarily inexpensive to get. They can be quite painful. Um, they're even more painful and more expensive to remove, and you're left with scars. So I guess that puts things into perspective for you. Now, I'm going to talk about the tattoos to avoid. So avoid any trendy tattoos. All right, guys, one thing I'm going to tell you also to avoid, even with clothing, is avoid things that are very trendy, because trendy stuff fades very quickly. I've seen people get on the trendy tattoos, and then now 10 years later, it just does not work well. Guys, like I said, tattoos are supposed to be forever. Guys that have like all this kanji stuff or the tribal tattoos, it just doesn't really look well today in 2021. Girlfriend or wife tattoos, please do not do it. Okay, guys, little pro tip, especially if you're married, there's a 50-50 chance you're going to get divorced, and there's a 70 to 80% chance that your wife is the one that's going to initiate the divorce, not you. So the odds are kind of stacked against you. I mean, listen, if you really love her that much, I don't know, man. Like, think of something else, but just don't get a tattoo of her name or her face or anything like that. Also, don't get any matching tattoos. Like I said, most relationships today, especially today, have an expiration date. It is what it is. It's just the world we live in. You're left with a matching tattoo. Well, guess what? That's just that you're gonna be reminded of her the whole time or him, whatever you're into, and especially when you're telling your new partner the meaning behind that tattoo. I'm just saying they might not like that too much. Depends on how jealous the other person is, but you get the idea. Anything immature or derogatory. Okay, especially in today's world, guys. We live in a very PC environment. I'm not saying I'm the biggest fan of it, but at the same time, you need to be very careful with what you get tattooed on you. I understand it's supposed to be forever. When you figure out you're not mad at your mom anymore and you're left with a permanent tattoo, well, that's gonna be very painful to remove, and it's just better if you avoid it altogether. Anything that is derogatory, I mean, come on, a refined gent does not do that. A refined gent is somebody that respects everybody, so don't get those tattoos. Any fraternity tattoos? I get it. I was in a fraternity, but not one time did I ever want to have a tattoo of my fraternity tattooed on me. I knew several guys that did. In my opinion, that looks very douchey. It's just, guys, don't do it. Fraternity tattoos, once you leave college, I'm telling you, a lot of these guys, life gets in the way. People get married, people have kids, people move on with their lives. You're not going to be stuck in the same group of people unless if you're just in a really small town. But guys, there's a very good chance that once you're done with that fraternity, give it a couple years, and you're left with that tattoo. You're like, oh wow, okay, like this is kind of dumb. Spur of the moment tattoos. Please avoid those as well. I've seen a lot of guys with spur of the moment tattoos. One guy I worked with, he'll remain anonymous, but he ended up getting an entire tattoo on his hand. It looked really cool, but in my opinion, it's the hand. It's very visible, and I asked him like, "Did you even think this through?" He's like, "No, man, it was just on impulse," and that's just a very stupid way of looking at things, in my opinion. Anything that is spur of the moment, impulsive, especially if you're young, there's a very good chance you're not gonna like it a couple months, even a couple years down the road. So just avoid spur of the moment tattoos. Just because you had a really cool spring break with your buddies, in Cancun or wherever, doesn't necessarily mean you need to have a tattoo reminding you of that. Plus, like I said, people fade, things fade, relationships sometimes fail, and the thing is, sometimes you may think these are your boys forever, and guess what? Things fall south, and then you're left with that tattoo that reminds you of them. Just avoid it at all costs, please. Anything sexual of any nature. And I would say this even applies to pinup girl tattoos, even though I love pinup girls. I think they're really, really cool, but I would just avoid those, especially now, like I said, guys, in today's overly PC world. Everybody's offended by every little thing. I just wouldn't do it. You may think, you see one of those pictures of like those old 1940s like sailors or whatever, they have like pinup girl tattoos and it looks really cool, and it does, but try doing that in today's corporate environment and it's probably not going to fly. I would avoid it. Also, just like I said, just anything sexual. It doesn't bring out a good image of you, and you want to always have your best foot forward. Cultural tattoos without knowing the meaning. These are very big now. A lot of people, well, obviously pre-COVID, people would travel, people would collect all these tattoos, and I've done the same thing. But the thing is, guys, when you go and you start getting all these symbols and all these other things without even knowing what those mean, personally, I just wouldn't do it because you don't know what you're putting on your body. You don't know what it means. You don't know what it symbolizes. It could even be insulting to the culture. I just wouldn't do it, especially if you're not familiar with that culture, you're not familiar with that environment. If you are, go for it. But personally, I would avoid it. It's just my opinion. Lastly, military tattoos without being a member. And I've actually seen this a few times. People trying to get tattoos, whether it's the Marine Corps, like the one I have here, or some like Special Forces unit or whatever, and they're not even a member of that unit. And honestly, that's pretty insulting. If I saw somebody with a Marine Corps tattoo and they never served in the Marine Corps, like I would take that as an offense because they did not earn that title. They did not go through the trials and tribulations of being in the Marine Corps, and they don't rate that tattoo. And just as with many other organizations, if you claim that you were a member, you can actually go to prison for that. There's a stolen valor back in the States. And it's just, guys, you shouldn't be doing it. I actually met a guy one time when I was in training. This is after boot camp, but he had a Marine Corps tattoo, and he actually said that he got it before he was even in the Marines. And I thought that was the dumbest thing ever. Why would you do that? I can only imagine how badly he got made fun of. But definitely, guys, do not get a military tattoo without actually being a member. Now, a military inspired tattoo is one thing, but when you go into the specifics, like you get USMC or you get, whatever Special Forces Battalion or whatever, that's not a good thing. Now, one thing I want you guys to understand, and guys, this is inevitable. Understand that your body changes, and what may look really badass when you're, at the top of your physical prime in your early 20s and you're just jacked, might not look so well when you get older. You see some of these guys, they got these sick barbed wire tattoos and all these other things, because they're in their early 20s and they look the part. But wait until 10, sometimes not even that much, like years down the line, and they already have 2.1 kids, and they have a solid retirement plan. Just and you see like the transformation. It's kind of a tough sell. So understand your body changes. You're not always going to be the super fit, at the top of your prime. That you were, when you were in your early 20s. So be very careful with the tattoos you get. Just understand that, especially in certain areas, your body changes a lot more. Obviously, for women, it's a whole different story, but for us guys, we go through changes as well. Personally, I put pretty much all my tattoos in places where my body is not really going to go through so many changes. All right, guys, another thing to understand is tattoos can still affect your employment opportunities. While a lot of formalities are starting to go down, I've been to places where, people had neck tattoos, even face tattoos and hand tattoos. Like I know like in the IT world and things like that, like they're very, very casual. Still, just understand that you do not want to have a tattoo hindering your employment opportunities because especially in today's job market, we all know it can be very competitive. So a lot of times the salaries are not what they should be or what we would want them to be. So you want to basically limit your chances of getting rejected simply because of something like that. So be very careful. Me personally, I suggest avoid any hand, neck, or face tattoos. If you can see while you're wearing a suit, I'm just saying you're getting into very dangerous territory. Just my personal opinion. All right, now I'm going to go over the tattoos that you should get. Oh, you're still wondering. You're still waiting. Oh, well, all I got to say is, man, look, get whatever the hell you want. It's your body, your choice. Even if my advice does not apply to you, everybody's different, all right? What work for me may not work for you, and vice versa. There's a lot of amazing styles. There's a lot of amazing artists. Really, tattoos have evolved a lot over time. Okay, but basically, guys, I just want you to make the right choice. I don't want for a cool tattoo to affect your employment opportunities or your future. So just keep that in mind. But anyways, guys, that is it for today. I hope you liked the video. Please let me know what you think down in the comments. Subscribe, hit me one of these. Share this video with anybody that might find it useful. All right, guys, that is it for today. See you next time.